friends, and welcome to Knitworthy Podcast Project Craft. This is the first part of our tutorial on how to make your journal. Okay, we have our journals ready, which is a composition notebook, just a standard one that we got at Target this year. And we have some paper. This is scrapbook paper that I got in a pack, but you can use any kind of paper. You can also tear images out of magazines and collage them on. You can use your favorite pattern on the front. Whatever it is that you want on your journal. This is going to be handled over the next few weeks. Lots of different things that you can do to embellish your journals, but we're going to start week 1 with just how to cover it. Okay? Are you ready, Bree?
I'm ready.
All right. The first thing you want to do is select your papers, and you've selected yours. What are you using for your cover, Brianne?
I'm going to be using this paper right here.
Okay, and I'm using this paper. This is a We Are Memory Keepers pack that I got on Amazon for a really good price. And what we're going to do is we are going to leave the black fabric part of the composition notebook as it is, and we are just going to cover this side. And so the first...
Why do we do that? Why do we leave this part?
It's just my preference. I like the idea that the kind of the bendable fabric paper part of it still is able to move well.
Okay.
And so you could certainly cover it if you like. But we're going to just cover the outside and the inside today.
Okay.
All right. So the first thing I want you to do is grab your glue and open it up and get the glue down near the tip. Glue tips. We also have glue tape that we can use, whatever you want to use. And make sure you don't have any little stoppers on your glue that keep it from coming out. And I just want to illustrate what we are doing.
You mean like that?
Yes, exactly like that. Pull that out. And what we want to do is make sure that we line up the paper here with the black edge here. So the edge of the scrapbook paper is going to line up with this black edge.
Okay.
Okay. And then the top of the scrapbook paper is going to line up with the top of the book itself, the composition book. And so what we want to do is we want to put glue in a bead that goes around the edge, because we want to make sure the glue goes all the way to this cut edge. And then we are going to put glue also on the inside so that we get a really good adhesion. And I'm using Aleene's Turbo Tacky glue. And what are you using, Brianne?
I have Aleene's Original Tacky glue.
Okay. And any your favorite glue, whatever it is. Some people use glue stick. I have had some trouble with glue stick coming undone for me, so I prefer not to use glue stick. You can see here the bead I'm using, and I've done a little bit of gluing, and I know about how much I need, but I can't say that I won't have to go back and possibly add a little bit more along the edge. If it bleeds out, that's really okay, because we'll just wipe it off. I also have baby wipes handy here, and I learned from other crafters that I watched that baby wipes are just great to have around for cleanup, so I try and keep them on my craft desk. Now, some people will have you take a brush and spread out the glue. You don't have to do that. I'm going to spread mine out a little bit. The reason why they have you spread it a little bit is because you sometimes get some warping of your paper. The thinner your paper, like magazine paper, is going to warp more. Thicker cardstock, like what we're using here, this isn't really cardstock, but it's nice thick scrapbooking paper. It's not going to warp as much, but I'd prefer not to have any. So I tried to wipe it off the edge a little bit. I'm just looking to make sure I come all the way to the edge there. I'm not worried about getting glue on my hands. This is a non-toxic glue, but if your glue's toxic, don't do this. If you're using a toxic glue, always look on the package. Make sure that you're using a well-ventilated area or that you're wearing a mask, because I didn't do that.
Oh no.
when I first started using some of my glues, and I think I've lost some of my sense of smell from having too much exposure to glue fumes. So now I'm laying my paper across the top using the black fabric. I don't know that it's actually fabric, but the black edge as my guide, and then I'm trying to get it as close to the edge at the top as I can. Now I may not make it. This is a little bit askew, so I'm just going to make sure that I have enough overhang. I'll cut it after I'm done. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Right here, it's overhanging this edge, if you can see that. So I'll have to cut that off because when I line it up straight along this edge, it was not straight here.
I had the same problem with mine too.
Did you too?
Yes.
Okay. And here's you can wipe your glue off with that. If you get any glue on your spine, doesn't matter. It's going to dry clear. And now, if you have a bone folder, this would be a good time to use it, but I don't. I'm going to use my Tim Holtz ruler, and I don't want to scratch my paper, so I'm just going to use the roundest part of my ruler, and I'm going to run it down just to make sure I have really good adhesion. That's my goal. All right, Bree.
Thank you.
Great. And the wonderful thing about the Tim Holtz Ideology ruler is there is a metal edge that allows you to cut against it. It also has center marked here so that you can get something perfectly centered by saying that it's 3 on either side, and here's the exact center. It's very great. I use that for that all the time. There's also holes here so that you can punch holes for different, some people are doing sewing on paper and things. So if you need to mark a hole, it already has a place where you can just go through it and get really even stitch lines if you want to. So now the next step, we are going to, I would suggest you put your lid back on your glue, because we are going to turn our book over, and you can see the hangover here on the edge. We want to get rid of all the extra paper, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to open my book like this, okay? You can move this here, flatten it out. Wait, don't get glue on your...
Good plan.
I'll put this up here. Okay, we're working on a small desk, can you tell? And we are going to line up this ruler with the metal edge that you can cut with. And I'm just going to guard the edge of my book because I don't want to cut the cardboard. I have this X-Acto knife here. Always be careful with an X-Acto knife. You always are supposed to cap it when you're done using it so you don't inadvertently cut yourself. I'm sure you all know that. But I'm going to now slice down, and I have a cutting mat underneath me. It's made by Fiskars, which is a popular scissor company, cutting company, what do you call them? Now you'll notice that I have a rounded edge here. I'm not going to worry about my rounded edge right now because I have an edge rounder, or you can go back after you make these straight cuts and follow the pattern. But I'm just going to put my ruler on the edge of the book itself here, and now I'm going to cut using my metal line on my ruler, cut all the way down. All right, that is a leftover, and we'll use it for something else later. Don't throw it away. Another lesson, we're going to learn how to make tabs and some other things. Now remember, we had this little bit of overhang here, and so I want to get rid of mine. So I'm going to lay my ruler down again, and I'm going to cut. And a little bit more. These are a little bit harder just because there's just the tiniest little bit of overhang here. So don't be afraid to make several passes to get it just right. Okay, And that's my trash pile. So now I have the cover. The front is, I think it's so much prettier, don't you, Brianne?
It is. It's beautiful.
So much nicer. And I will go ahead and round my edges later. But first, what I want to do is take a break and let's let Brianne get caught up with us. We are going to cover the front and the back of the book, and then we will go into how to cover the inside. Okay, so we'll be right back when Brianne has done hers. Okay, welcome back. Brianne, how'd you do?
I did pretty good. I did cut just a little piece off of my cardboard here, but you know what? Life is not perfect, and neither is my craft, and so it'll be okay.
And especially we're covering the inside, so no one's going to even know.
Okay, then you didn't see this.
It's all good. Here's my front and my back. You certainly do not have to have matching fronts and backs on this. Okay, so now the last step for today is we'll have 2 more steps. But the last step for the cover is we are going to cover the inside, so we don't have the word class schedule here. So now I would suggest that you give your book a good bending, the cover, a good bending backwards, which is why I don't like to glue on the spine, because I don't have to worry about it peeling up the paper I just put on there, as I want this to lay nice and flat like this. And I did want to mention, because I didn't mention it the first go round, is that when you are cutting along an edge like this, make sure that your knife is parallel to the cutting surface. Don't angle it one way or the other. This way you'll get a cut that's too big. This way you'll get a cut that's too short. That's probably what happened to Brianne with getting her cover cut a little bit. You have to just keep it parallel, and then you get a nice straight cut. You can also use scissors, so whatever. I just really feel like this works better for me. Now we've got the inside cover right here. We're going to apply glue to it, just like we did the outside of the cover, but this time we're going to decide where are we bringing the inside cover to. I don't want to be in the area where the stitching is. Do you see the stitching along here, Brianne?
Yes.
I want to stay away from that. And so there are some lines on here for folding. This one has 3 different, and I don't know that you can see them, but here, here, and here. It's been scored 3 times to enable the book to fold better. So I am going to put my paper on the second score line. Brianne, do you see that there?
Yes, I do.
Actually, let me do this to make it easier to see. This is one score line here, and this is the second score line, and the third is right where my book has bent already, where I bent it back on itself. So I'm going to keep it in the middle. I'll erase this last mark since I don't want that showing. So I'm going to place my paper along this edge here. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing we did on the front cover. We're going to apply our glue. Apparently I have a glue halo.
Oh, it's precious.
Yes. Are you scared, Bri? Are you doing better now?
I'm doing better. This isn't as scary.
It's not too scary, is it?
This is definitely out of my comfort zone, though.
And don't you feel like you're so proud of yourself, because it's like, wow, that looks pretty good.
I am. I finished cutting off the excess paper on the front of my journal here, and I looked at Mom and I said, I did that.
Yeah, right? Okay, just so that you can see how much glue I'm applying of my Turbo Tacky glue, I'm going to show you. That's just for a reference point. That's just how much I'm using, and how much you use will depend on the kind of glue you're using. So you just want to make sure. Now I just got some right. If you get it in the crease, you're going to glue your pages to the front cover. We don't want to do that, so wipe it out if you get it in there like I just did. And I'm running my brush along the edge where I want the paper to butt up to it, and then spreading it out and letting it, just so you can see, if I didn't make it clear before, I'm running my brush off the edge because I want to get glue as close to the edge as I can. If I miss a spot, I can always go back and use a toothpick or a small tool of some sort to just dab a little glue in the spot that didn't get glued properly, and it's no big deal. Everything's fixable. This should be about fun because this is, this is the relaxing part of your life. But if you've never covered a journal like this or done any paper crafting, I think it's such a fun thing. Now I have 2 papers for the inside. I have this one that says Carnival, Parade, Rodeo, and Sweet Home Alabama. Or I have this beautiful orange. What do you think I should put on my front cover, Brianne?
Yeah, I kind of like the one with the words on it.
Okay, so we'll go with words. I like both of them equally. So the only thing important to remember if you are using a paper that has words on it, that you apply it so that the words aren't upside down. Ask me how I know.
How do you know?
I've done it.
Oh.
So I can tell from the words on the inside cover that this is up. I can also tell from the margin on my paper. So I'm going to once again do just like I did the first time with the front cover, and I'm going to lay my paper down, and sometimes you'll find laying one edge down first is really handy so that you don't get it all stuck down and then realize you got to rip it all back up. Now, what I found is when I lined it up here, I'm not lined up here. So I am going to lift my paper up again, and this is why it's nice to use a thicker paper for this, is it allows you a little bit more leeway if you do, get a little bit off. So instead of being short, I'd always rather be a little bit over. I can always trim, but I can't make paper grow.
What? I'm just baffled.
Shocked, right?
Such wisdom here.
I know, right? This is the point where I'm also going to double check and make sure I don't have glue here, so I don't glue my front cover to my front sheet. Not fun. Okay, and Brianne, do you want to use your imitation bone folder?
Thank you.
Now I'm going to turn it over because do you see it? I don't know if you saw that. My cover had warped a little bit and it was pulled away right here. So with gluing, it obviously dampens the paper and the cardboard. And so you're going to want to turn yours over too, Brianne.
Okay.
And even though we've used the bone folder on the front, we have to make sure that that front cover is really nicely attached and not wanting to pull away. So you want to give a little extra pushing around the edges to make sure that you are indeed attached. So now what we have is the same situation that we had when we were doing our cover, but we're cutting the inside part, right?
Yes.
So this time, in order to see the part that needs to be cut away, we're going to put the cover with the outside up. That allows me to see the portion here that I need to cut away. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to take our ruler, wherever I put it. Now, this is the challenging part. You have to turn your work so that you get it where it's comfortable for you. I'm actually going to turn this completely around because I'm more comfortable cutting on my right, and I have to hold my ruler on the book cover, right?
Right.
So I line it up, and I'm going to make my cut. And I just cut a little bit of my black cover. So it's just a fine line, finding where I'm not cutting my cover, but I'm actually only cutting my paper. And that's partly what you're just going to have to experiment with. And see, I also had my knife a little bit angled, I noticed. So I did that same thing. It's all right though. It doesn't hurt a thing. Now I'm turning it this way. So once again, the paper I'm trying to cut off is on my right. I'm putting my ruler on my book, making sure I'm on my cutting mat so I don't cut my table.
Always good.
Always good. Okay, and now I'm making that cut. And I didn't have any overhang issues.
Now, what if someone doesn't have a cutting mat? What's something that they can use instead?
I would say a cutting board, like whatever you use in your kitchen. One of those thin plastic cutting boards would work perfectly.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that would be good. And these really are just a few dollars. This is a Fisker's. It's a little bit fancier, but I don't know that I would say it's worth, like it's like, oh, you've got to have this. I would say any X-Acto knife, even a box cutter, if you happen to have a box cutter, use that. But it just needs a sharp blade or scissors. But yes, definitely you could use a cutting board. All right, so I've done my inside cover. Now I have a little gap here. Do you see this? Right here.
Yes.
Okay, if that bothers me, I'm going to put washi tape on it. Now, honestly, it does not bother me. Okay? But let's just pretend it does bother me. And isn't this a cool, look at this. I just got this from my washi tapes on Amazon. You probably can't see it if I do it there. It rotates and it's got a little place to put each washi tape on its own.
So cute.
It's adorable. So I will take maybe this, I don't know if I have one that really matches well. I'm going to use this gold because I think you can see it better. I'm just going to pull out a length that's more than what I need. And washi tape is affordable, so I don't worry about wasting it. And what I'm going to do, washi tape is not extremely sticky. It's made to be pulled up. So in this case, I'm probably going to put a little bead of glue along the paper that I cut. So it'll stay adhered to that. Not much, just a little bit there. You can see what I did. And then I'm going to go ahead and lay my washi tape on top of it. And I'm going to butt my washi tape up to the lined paper so I don't have an edge. Now that is just such a tiny, what would you call it? It's so thin that I don't believe it will interfere with the functioning of the book. And I'm going to cut off the excess. Now I'm going to cut one so you can see how that works. But washi tape is meant to not be cut, so I'm going to show you how I trim off my washi tape. I just put my finger where I would like the tear to start, and I tear against my finger, and it comes pretty close. So now you can see this is a perfect cut, and this one is a little bit off and doesn't bother me one bit. I fold it over if it does bother me, but or I can go back and cut it if I want to, but that gives me a more finished edge. If I don't like where I got my washi tape, I still have time to adjust it, but that can give you a finished edge. You could go ahead and try and put this thicker paper up next to the lined paper, but sometimes you'll end up with your lid kind of springing a little bit. It does a little, even with the washi tape. If it doesn't bother you, just leave it. Okay, so now Brianne.
Yes.
Why don't you start cutting yours?
Okay.
And we are going to pop back after you've gotten your covers, inside covers finished.
Okay.
Why don't you start showing us what you've learned about cutting?
Okay, so I need to make sure that the cutting side of my ruler, or the metal side of my ruler, is up against here. And I'm going to do parallel to the paper, or to the ruler, to make sure that I am not doing too far in or too far out. Let's see, how did that work? Well, I apparently did not cut hard enough, so I'm going to do this again.
That's okay.
Okay,
Now it's cut.
there we go.
Good job.
All right. And I'm going to do this part here.
That paper reminds me of an old end paper in a vintage book.
Doesn't it?
Uh-huh. I love it.
Okay, try and get my stuff right here. How did I do? I did pretty good.
Great.
I'm just
Good
gonna
job. It's easy to fix. It's and a little bit longer is always better than too short, obviously.
Yes. So there
Very
you go.
nice.
There's the inside.
Okay, now we're going to pause and we're going to finish the other inside cover, and then we'll be right back. We'll see you in a few. So you can use the We Are Memory Keepers Crocodile Corner Chomper to round the edges by sticking them in like this, and you just press down. Or you can use scissors, either one, or leave them straight. The last thing we're going to go over today is how to apply washi tape to the edges of your book. One of the things that this kind of paper in a composition book is known for is that it is very see-through. If I hold up one, see how easily you can see my hand through there. I don't know if the lighting's going to allow that to show, but what happens is you get bleed through. If you write on this side, it bleeds all the way through, so you see it on the back, and so it makes this back side unusable. And so Creative Lee, who is Lisa, and I'll put her link in the down the underneath part here so that you can access her blog. She had us washi tape 2 pages together when we were taking my calligraphy class, and that allowed the ink not to bleed through. That way you can glue, or you can paint, or you can use whatever pen you want and not worry so much about what it's going to do. Now, it's not going to be perfect, but it's better than one sheet. And this is one of my pages that's already been done. And washi tape is very forgiving, and basically the principle is that you are going to look for the horizontal midway point on that piece of tape, and you are going to apply 1/2 to one side, and then you're going to open the page and turn it around and put the second page up next to it. You're going to feel and make sure that you have no wrinkles, no paper left behind, that they line up exactly along this edge, and then you are going to fold the other half of the washi tape over. Now I'm going to have Brianne demo this because she's done one. So
Okay.
Brianne, can you show us how you washi taped your 2 pages together to create one beautiful,
Yes.
makes such a lovely edge. You can see, and you don't have to do the whole book at first if you don't want to. You can just do a few pages, but once the whole book is done, it's gorgeous. So if you have washi tape or have the funds to purchase it, I think you'll be glad you did.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my book in front of me with my pages laid out here, and I'm going to find the edge of my washi tape, which is right here. And I'm going to pull out more than what I need. So that looks like more than what I need. And I'm going to gauge to where about the halfway point is. That looks about halfway to me.
And if you made a mistake, what would you do?
I would just pull it up because washi tape is very forgiving. Oh, look, see? It came up on its own. So I'm just going to put this down and do this.
Now, would you show them what it looks like from the other side so they can see how much is sticking up?
About that much.
Great.
So now I'm going to turn it over. And I had some glue that got stuck onto the top of my pages, so I'm just going to pull it gently so as not to tear it. There we go. Got it on both sides. I was very generous with glue. I may have to reimburse you for glue, Mom.
No worries.
And now I'm just going to bring it down in the middle. And I am not the master of washi tape that Mom is, so I'm just going to do half of my page at a time.
And the benefit for starting in the middle is just less likely to get it going at an angle and getting wrinkles and things like that.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm just going to tear off the excess.
Right.
Like that.
Yes.
And so now I have 2 washi taped pages.
It's lovely.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Right.
All right.
Okay, Bree.
Yes.
We did it. Was it scary?
No, not even a little bit scary.
Okay, let's see your book. Let's see how you ended up.
Okay, so here's my book. I have my front cover and my inside cover. And I have my 2 washi pages that I've already put together here. 1, 2. I have my inside of the back, which I decided to do a different color because I'm crazy like that.
She is.
And then I have my back cover.
Yes.
So that was not scary one bit.
It's not, is it?
No, not at all.
All right, I have more great ideas for how to make your journal, your crafting journal, even better. That'll be on another podcast, so stay tuned. Get your journal ready and start crafting with us, right?
That's right.
Yes. Bye, y'all.